Hello, hello, and welcome back for another adventure in the cookie jar. Today we are making the 14th recipe from the apple turnover murder. They are called Rose's Peachy Keen Cake with peachy keen frosting. It also comes with a glaze if you choose to make this into a bundt cake. We're just going to go with the regular cake today. I will say this is a very technical cake. Like probably the most technical thing we've ever made in these books so far. For this cake, you're going to preheat your oven to 350. You're going to want 4 egg whites. You're going to want 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, 3/4 cup softened butter, 1½ sticks, 1 package 8 ounces softened cream cheese, 2 cups of white sugar, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 2 beaten eggs, 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1½ cups mashed peaches, which it says you can use fresh and peel and slice your own, or you can buy them already sliced and prepared in the ready-to-eat section at your produce counter, or you can use canned peaches. Then you're going to want 2½ cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of finely chopped blanched almonds. For the frosting, you are going to want 3/4 cup of peach jam and 1 egg white. So, in total, you're going to need about 7 eggs for this recipe. And then you're basically going to make meringue, make your cake batter, fold the meringue into the cake batter, bake that off. They give you a couple different options. You can do it in layers at 15 minutes. You can do a 9x13, which takes 40 minutes. You can do a bundt, which takes 50 to 60 minutes. And then you're going to let that cool for 15 minutes. Invert the cake onto another wire wrap. Wait, what? Okay, so the flipping of the cake is just if you did pans. I'm doing a 9x13. I ain't messing with none of that. So the notes say this cake is easier with an electric mixer. It says, Rose says that when she makes this cake in layers, she uses peach jam in between the layers and frost it with peachy keen frosting. When she makes this cake in a bundt pan, she either dust it with powdered sugar to pretty it up or drizzles the top with peachy keen glaze for bundt cakes. Sometimes she puts a few canned peach slices in the bottom of her bundt pan so that they're on the top when she turns out her cake. Third note, if you want to make cupcakes, pour the batter into greased and floured or cupcake papered muffin tins and bake at 375 for 20 minutes. Mini muffins should bake for about 10 to 12. So if you like this recipe, there are lots of things you can do with it. The peachy keen frosting is interesting because it's kind of like an Italian meringue, but also weird. So it tells you to put the jam in a food processor and blend it until it's smooth. And then you're saving 1/2 cup for the frosting. Then you're taking, I guess, 1/4 cup, and you're putting that in a double boiler off the heat. You're going to put the jam and the egg white together, blend them, put it on top of the double boiler until the jam is melted. It should be almost like juice. Take it off the double boiler and then beat the frosting until it will stand up in peaks. It says if you've used layered pans for this cake, Rose says to double the recipe because there's nothing worse than trying to make frosting stretch. If you just make double in the place, you'll have plenty. So this is definitely technical. We have lots of apparatuses around, so hopefully everything goes all right. But everything's laid out. Let's get started. This is everything we're going to be using to make this cake and the glaze frosting. Okay, so the first thing that it wants us to do is to take the egg whites, and we're going to beat those with the cream of tartar. Until we have soft peaks. Because I'm a normal person and not a rich person, I only have 1 bowl for my KitchenAid, so I'm taking the egg whites and putting those aside and reusing my bowl. So into the bowl, we're putting the softened butter and the cream cheese. And we're going to let them play until they are smooth. Okay, now that we have that part done, I'm going to add the baking powder and the salt. To this, we're going to add our whole beaten eggs. So that's the 2 eggs. And then both the extracts, the almond and the vanilla. Oh, and apparently I missed we were supposed to add the sugar too. So we'll add that in now. Next, we're adding our 1.5 cup mashed peaches, however you chose to mix them up. Next, we're gonna slowly add the flour in. So, shake some in. So I'm just gonna kind of try to mix in some of the flour at the top of the bowl. Now it has us mixing in the almonds. So toss those in there. Last thing we're going to do with this is we're going to take our egg whites back. And we're just going to fold them in as gently as we can. Gently, gently, gently. Which, I don't know if y'all noticed, but this is a really thick batter, so trying to gently fold egg whites into it seems rather strange. I'm trying to be as gentle as I can. But there's like a line of wanting to make sure it all gets mixed and not having any clumps of egg white in my cake versus not wanting to over mix it and destroy the fluffiness of the egg whites. And it's like that line that I ride sometimes because it works about half and half. Which is probably one of the reasons I said this cake was technical. Alright. I think we have it incorporated. I don't want to keep going because, like I said, I don't want to beat all of the air out of them. So next thing we want is our 9x13 pan. Now we have our pan sprayed. Here comes the fun part of transferring. Wish me luck. I will say the peach and the almond smell really good together. I cannot wait to smell this baking. Like, it's gonna smell like a really good candle. This is what we have. It is the 9x13. It'll bake for about 40 to 50 minutes. The cake has been sitting for about half an hour now. It took about 50 minutes in total to bake it. While I pulverize the jam, I'm going to get the water started for our double boiler. Get that started. All right, so into this little food processor, I'm going to put our jam. It does say to take the whole thing out. I'm not really quite sure what it wants because it says to put it in the food processor until it has no lumps and is perfectly smooth. Measure out half a cup to use for the frosting. If there's any left over, just stir it into the jam left in your jar and put it back in the refrigerator. So, why do you need 3/4 of a cup if you're just taking out half? I don't get why you wouldn't just use the half, but we're gonna run with it. All right, so half a cup. All right, so I want to put this beat the egg white with the peach jam. I guess I'm gonna this in here and the egg white. Okay, so set the double boiler over the simming water and continue to beat until the jam has melted, okay? All right, I don't really know, but it's been 3 minutes. This isn't, while it is thin, it's not thin like juice. So I don't know what to do with this. It just says it is melted, and it's clearly melted. So I guess we're just gonna go with this and just continue to beat it until stiff peaks stand up. I have never made any kind of frosting like this before. If anybody has any kind of explanation as to what exactly this is, that'd be great. I think that'll stand up in peaks. Ish. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna go a little bit further. It doesn't seem like enough to cover a 9x13. For some reason, I really thought the egg whites were gonna like puff up like they do in a meringue. Not really sure what to do with this. It doesn't list any other ingredients. I'm half tempted to just mix the two recipes and use the powdered sugar, but I don't know. This did not make a lot. Like, I feel like you need to double this just to ice the cake. Okay, so this is Rose's Peachy King cake with the Peachy King frosting. The crunch of the almonds is really nice. It has a really good peach flavor. Not overwhelmingly peach, like a nice smooth peach flavor. And the almond comes in, a nice nuttiness. It complements peach so well. The icing, frosting, whatever you want to call it, it does appear to be enough. It's a very thin layer. If you like a lot of frosting, definitely double the recipe. So if you're going to do like a round cake, I would at the very least triple it. I did think it was hard to judge what I was doing with it. I would definitely try to find a much smoother peach jam than the one I chose. What I chose was a peach preserve and had chunks of peaches in it. So it didn't blend up as smooth as I guess a jam would have. It worked. It got an end result. It itself has a good flavor to it. But yeah, it's not as thick as I would like frosting to be. I've never actually made a frosting with an egg white before, so that was new. But overall, it's a very good cake. It's very delicious. Definitely a technical milestone. Next week, we are making sun and moon cookies. If you're interested in seeing that, join us next week. I hope you all have a good one. Bye.